This woman is not dead. She's just extremely upset. Upset that her husband has just found out that she's been cheating on him. This is the first panel of the 3-panel narrative paintings by the British Victorian painter Augustus Egg. 3 panels that show the destruction of a middle-class family, all because of one thing: adultery. But the problem is that in the first glance, the paintings seem to be criticizing and judging the woman who ruined the happy family doing what she did. But the truth is a little more complicated than that, and it's hidden in the intricate details of these paintings. The truth is that adultery is itself a very complicated topic, and historically, it's a problem that has been on the minds of societies as long as monogamy has been a thing. And so, it has been present in the history of art as well. But what I want to show you in this video is the way that this outlook towards adultery has changed and how it has been reflected in paintings. When looking at religious topics of paintings, there are a few stories that are directly or indirectly related to adultery. We have the depiction of Bathsheba taking a bath, which is the biblical story of King David. He sees Bathsheba taking a bath and falls in love with her, but she's already married. David and Bathsheba sleep together and she gets pregnant. And to get rid of the husband, David sends him to war where he's killed. The paintings of this story usually have an air of eroticism to them, especially that, other than Eve, the only character that was acceptable to paint nude in Christian art was Bathsheba. But in such paintings, although the topic is adultery, we don't really see a judgment on the side of the artist towards the topic of adultery. A prominent non-religious painting about adultery is this one by Lucas Cranach the Elder, about the story of a cunning woman and how she gets away with cheating. It's one of those medieval tales. This lion bites the hand of anyone who lies. The lady makes her lover wear clothes like a jester, and then when she puts her hand in the lion's mouth, the jester touches her, and she says, "I've only been touched by my husband and the jester." The lion doesn't bite. Nobody cares about the jester, and so she gets away with it. This fable and the painting are a cautionary tale against cunning women. Pretty misogynistic. But this judgment shifts with another religious tale: the biblical story of Christ and the woman taken in adultery. Take a look at this depiction by Rembrandt. This story is very famous. A group of people bring a woman who was caught in the act of cheating to Jesus and demand that she should be stoned. Jesus agrees and says that the person without sin shall cast the first stone, making everybody realize that no one is without sin. What Rembrandt does here is that although we have Jesus in the frame too, the brightest center of attention basking in light is in fact the adulterer woman, putting all the sinful men in the shadows. Cheating is such a dramatic thing that divides people with different opinions. And this brings us to the controversial painting that I showed you in the beginning. You see, back in the Victorian times, and even now in some cultures, when you were unhappy in a marriage, you didn't really have the choice to get a divorce, specifically as a woman. In Britain, it was only after the Matrimonial Causes Act of 1857 that women could take the matter of an unhappy marriage to court and get a divorce and have the option to get married again. Just a quick note, it wasn't that easy to get a divorce. Women had to prove their husbands both cheated and that they were cruel with them. You can imagine that in the strict conservative society of Victorian age, this act stirred up a lot of controversy, and it was during this controversy that Augustus Egg painted this triptych. When it was first exhibited, it didn't come with a title. It was arranged like this on the wall, with this line written underneath. August the 4th. Have just heard that B has been dead more than a fortnight, so his poor children have now lost both parents. I hear she was seen on Friday last near the Strand, evidently without a place to lay her head. What a fall hers has been. I love narrative paintings. It's like a classy form of a comic. seeing a few frames of a story and letting yourself discover what is going on in it. And there is a lot of discovering to do here. The main panel in the middle is the first frame. We can see the man looking bewildered, clutching a letter, which probably gives him proof of her wife's infidelity. We have the wife so taken up by emotions that she has fallen on the ground begging to her husband. And on the side, we have the children playing, looking shocked, seeing this drama unfold. In the other two panels, we are looking at a few years after the revelation. Two frames showing two different places at the exact same moment. The dad has now passed away and the children are devastated. She's comforting her younger sister and looking out the window, praying for their mother, who was kicked out of the house years ago. At the same time, we have the mother who's laying near the docks in terrible conditions, probably near death, without a roof over her head, clutching a baby to her chest, looking out to the moon, probably thinking about her children and the life that she lost. In the first exhibition of this work, a lot of people weren't happy because they thought painting about adultery is a step too far. Those who were fine with the topic saw it as a direct criticism of the wife. She threw away what she had. That was the reading of the work published in the news at least, but weirdly, Augustus Egg stayed silent about these interpretations. The truth is that these paintings are not a criticism of adultery. They're actually a criticism of a loveless marriage that drives a person towards adultery. If people knew that then, they would lose their mind, no doubt. The details talk to us. In the first frame, the wife on the ground is in a pose that feels like she's in shackles. Her marriage bracelets like cuffs, symbolizing being trapped in this marriage. The painting is sprinkled with representations of falling. The wife has fallen on the ground. On the table, there's half an apple with a knife through it, representing the husband being betrayed, and there is the other half of the apple falling on the ground next to the wife. Over on the left, we see a picture of the wife, and above it is the scene of the banishment and fall of Eve in the Garden of Eden. The house of cards that the children are building is falling down, and to top it off, the description mentions what a fall hers has been. The House of Cards is really interesting because not only is it a symbol of an empty marriage, it's actually built on a book by a very specific writer, Honoré Balzac, the author who was famously known as the critic of the institution of marriage. In many of his books, he directly engages with the topic of adultery and criticizing the fake facade of loveless marriages and how they ruin people. So, by including this allusion, the artist is prompting the more keen-eyed viewer to engage more with the topic and maybe ask the question, why is cheating such a big problem in the Victorian age? So maybe the story is flipped. Maybe we're supposed to feel sorry for the woman here for being the victim of an unhappy conventional marriage. And this theme gets even stronger in the third frame. Above the mother's head, we can see two posters for actual real plays that were performed back then. And both of these plays, although they were comedies, they were both about how a loveless marriage can ruin you. These paintings were later on titled Past and Present, and what they're doing is that they're showing a modern shift of view towards marriage, towards love, and towards the nature of affairs. I'm not gonna lie, talking about the drama of other people's lives is fun and controversial no matter what part of history we are in. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, a like would be really appreciated, and if you subscribe to the channel, not only will you not miss other videos as they come out, you would also be helping the channel to grow. And also, I recommend you watch these videos on the forgotten women artists of the history. They give you more context on the condition of some trailblazers in the history of art. Thank you again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.